All praises to the Most High. I couldn't sleep. I was sitting there thinking, I was kind of reminiscing and looking back on my journey, and it's a lot that can be learned out of it. And, I've healed, but I'm so used to healing that's just what I do. I heal and then I just go on. This is the first time that I've had more than me and God interested in it. Right? So I be trying to sit here and think, everything happens for a reason. So why did God allow my platform to become so big, so watched? Simple answer to me is to make awareness of the kingdom of God, to let everybody know it's time to repent, it's time to take it seriously, it's time to get ready. That's the easiest answer I can come up with. But it's lessons in each intricate part of what I went through. Because if I look at it as a whole, because I wasn't at first. I was sitting there thinking tonight, I go through it, I break down, I build up, and I'll do it because I have God in my life. I do it because He gives me the strength. I do it because I acknowledge Him. I let everybody know how I got up. Every time I get up. And that's how I make it. To me, it's simple, I guess everybody else or some other people, whoever, everybody's not the same, but I've always had the ability to do that. I started reading books when I was 4, and it was the Bible. It was my grandmother that made me do it. And I'm glad she did. And my journey started off right away. I started getting mentally abused and tested on a regular basis, just from home to street to school. As soon as I started school, it was on. Now that I look back on it, spiritual warfare was on for me. I thought that was normal. It is normal. But do you notice it? Is it enough to notice? Because when I was going through it, it was enough to notice, from physical beatings and altercations with different energies to mental abuse from authority energies, from dreams to dreams. And it's funny how it came to pass that I learned to lean on God, because I remember when it was happening real bad, to the point to where, I was coming home beat up every day from school. I was getting swats every day. That's back in the day you got swats. I would come home, I'd have to deal with my mother, and she would just mentally try to break me down. It was weird. It was weird. It was like entrapment or something. It was like, I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't with her. But then it was sugar coated, sprinkled with, she make it look like she's doing her correct job, but she really isn't. And it was funny though, because she really couldn't mess with me hard at home or in front of my grandmother, because my grandmother knew her and she knew what she was doing. So she would back off. So But she gave me glimpses. So that's why I kind of stayed up under my grandmother. Because my mom was, it started when as soon as I could understand. Anyway, it's scarred, but hey, anyway, but I'm all right. I look at it for what it is now. I'm not dealing with, necessarily people. I'm dealing with, spirits, powers that be, principalities, things of that nature, demonic presences. So I was aware of these things when I was young, 4, 5, 6, and on up. But like I said, spiritual warfare started out young. I started out young going through it. But I also look at that as a blessing. Just like I said in my other videos, if you're going through turmoil, do not get down on yourself. Know that it is a test. Know that God looks at you as one of his best. Because see, a robber don't rob an empty house, right? Right? So the devil ain't finna come messing with something that ain't nothing. You must be something if he messing with you. If he just letting you slide and glide through life like it's ice capades, then you already done messed up. You ain't even gotta worry about you. That's how you gotta look at this life. So in that, I had an early example of how God's power works. I was going through all those things I named at that age, between 4, 5, and 6. So that's like 3 years of nightmares, physical abuse from like bullies and different people like we gang up on. How did 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds know how to be in the gang at that time? That was ridiculous. It would be 3 of them, 4 of them at the time come mess with me. That's a lot of fists. I only got 2. That's like 8. But I was going through that like for real. We was knuckled up at that age when I was coming up. I mean, things probably different now. But I digress. So I'm doing the physical, I'm doing the mental abuse, I'm doing the spiritual warfare and the spiritual abuse in my dreams. And the abuse of spiritual in my dreams, I'm gonna tell you, I told this story before. I'm not much of a swimmer. Now I can swim. It ain't pretty, but I get out the water zone. Push me and think I ain't gonna get out, I'll be at your door soaking wet. But anyway, back then I couldn't swim, right? I always had I always had a fear of drowning. I don't know why. I just feel like it takes so long to drown because you be down there thinking and can't breathe, and that would be horrible. So I don't want to drown. And, I know I'm going to die, but I just don't want to drown doing that, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so the dream was I would be getting on my school bus because, I was a young kid. I would wake up in the morning and I would get ready for school and I'd go out to, get on the bus. But, and this is the trip off what I'm finna say. But in the dream, the bus would come from like this way. The bus would come from this way, coming down my street and stop and go on around the corner. At my bus stop at the little red church and then go on around the corner. But in the dream, it came from around the corner and stopped at the red church, the opposite direction in the dream. So the first couple of times I had the dream, I didn't draw off what I was seeing. That right there let me knew it was demonic. Because see, the Lord will go one way and the devil, he just see what the Lord do and copy it and go the other way. Same thing that I got going on in my little situation. But I digress. So anyway, so the bus come around the corner, the opposite direction on my same street to pick me up in the morning in the dream. So I got on the bus. Didn't think nothing of it for a couple times, but I got on the bus. And you might think this is silly, but I'm almost 50 years old and I still remember this. So I get on the bus. I'm on the bus. And everything would be normal for about a second or two. We'd start driving. And then before we even got off my street, the front of my street is a curb that goes left or right, to get out of the neighborhood. But in the dream, it turned into a lake. Like a street, then the street going straight into a lake, right? So I'm like looking, and I can see the lake. So I started looking around at my classmates, the people that was on the bus with me, to tell them, hey man, why is it a lake in front of the bus? What is happening with that? And why we ain't stopping? So when I looked up, getting ready to say what I wanted to say, everybody had fish heads. No, I mean like literal fish heads. They was doing the boom boom, but they had their bodies, but it was a literal fish face head. Like I don't know, I can't explain it. But anyway, they had fish heads, and the bus ain't stopping. So I can't tell none of my friends. So I look up to the front to tell the bus driver, hey, these niggas are turning into fish people, and you driving toward the lake. That's what I was gonna tell them. But of course, when I looked at the bus driver, that brother had a fish head too. So now I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why don't I got a fish head? Because I can't breathe in the water. I know I'm 4, 5, 6. This dream happened over every night till I woke up in sweats until I did this one thing, and I'll tell you what. So in that dream, I start panicking on the bus and screaming and like, hey. And right before we get to the lake, of course, I wake up in a cold sweat. I had that dream every night. I couldn't hardly sleep. And then I tried to tell my mama about it, but of course she doing the mind, she doing the mind, Jedi mind tricks and stuff, I found out she wasn't my partner a long time ago. But instead of consoling me and telling me what to do about having these kind of nightmares that was bothering me to the point where I was getting out of the bed and coming in there trying to sleep with her, she would make fun of me for coming in there trying to sleep with her and tell me I'm a little, like wimp, or I'm scary or something, or baby, something like that, for wanting to sleep with her baby mama. But I wouldn't have wanted to sleep with her unless I was having them dreams. And then if I was having them dreams and I told you that, you supposed to figure out what's going on with the dreams, because I wasn't scared to sleep with you before I had them. I digress. Let me stop. So anyway, told my grandma. Grandma solved problems. You heard me? My granny said, come on in here. So I go in the room, my granny, she pulled out the Bible. She showed me Psalms 23, Psalms 91, Psalms 70, 71, Psalms 121, right? Told me to read these 3 times a piece. And then say the Lord's Prayer by myself in private. She just sit me in the room with the Bible and told me to do that. Now, they say the faith of a mustard seed can move mountains, right? So I went in bright-eyed, wide-eyed, I believe my grandma, because my grandma, she take care of me. That's the one that I'm under. That's the one that I'm with, so I trust her. So before I even really could fathom and put it together, the word of God and God, I didn't put it together. So I did that for about 3 days straight. And every day that day I read it, did what I was told, just like, it's like taking two steps, like footprints in the sand. You take 2 steps and then you fall out. You don't even remember the journey. And then when you get there, you look down, you only see 1 set of footprints, and you tell him, you look at the Lord and you say, hey, I thought you were gonna be with me the whole time I was going through all that. He said, I was, fool, I carried you the rest of the way. You look way back there, them 2 steps you took, but that was enough, and he carried you the rest. So it's kind of like that, because I went into it, I read it, did what I was told 3 times a piece, said the Lord's Prayer in private, all of this, and just left it alone. Just put it down, didn't think nothing of it. And then when I did that, each night I did that, I did not have that dream. I did not have to go in there and hear my mom tell me I'm a baby, I'm scary, and this, that, and other. Because the Lord took care of my dream. And that is the first time I fought the devil. I fought demons. And then I learned how to use my weapon. I was 6 years old when it completely stopped. And then I was using it at school for bullies. That's the first time I seen the Lord work at schools. When I did that, before I got on the bus, went to school, and the 3 dudes that I used to pick on me all the time, I remember we were sitting in the auditorium, they were sitting behind me, and I was like, damn, them niggas ain't hit me in the back of the head, nothing. I don't know what's going on. So I'm scared a little, but I had to look. I said, fuck it, I'm gonna look. I look at them. I ain't never seen three people look that confused to this day in my life. They was just looking down at me because they was in the bleachers above me, and they was just looking at me like this, confused in the mud. They looked at me like, why can't we mess with this dude? We all want to. But they just couldn't move. They just all they could do was just stare at me. And that was that day that I prayed against that. And I said I did that, read those songs, and I said the Lord's Prayer in private. And every day I did that, they was confused. I seen it in my own eyes. So I'm in knowing that you go to the Lord for prayer. It's getting a little bit more specific nowadays, because we're getting to the end, so. And everything's being revealed to us. But that was the beginning. Nowadays, we're at a point where we have to be a little bit more specific. Because like in the Bible, it talked about we would be under a great delusion. I'm reading, when I was, in my 20s, I was reading the Bible because I always felt the need to have to read the whole Bible before I died. It was just something that was embedded in me. But it's some fact, I guess, because my grandmother embedded it in me. So I've always depended on God. I've always depended on the word, a word of God to combat this spiritual war that has been going on for you since I've been here. And before that, but all I could talk about is how long I've been here. So I was accustomed to it, so it wasn't nothing new. But I knew that I had to read the Bible before I died, so I guess that's why. So I did do that. I stopped I was like halfway done with Revelations, and it kind of scared me. I got the picture. But that's another story. I do need to finish Revelations. I read half of it, though. I think I did finish. I did. I stopped, and then I went back and finished it later, like a year or two later, because that Joker is scary. I don't want to be here for all of that, but that's a whole nother one. So it talked about a great delusion in the Bible, and we need to get more specific. This is why the truth is coming out about Jesus. His real name is Yeshua. Saturday is the Sabbath. And something I learned, and it just made sense to me. And it's like one day I just knew it. I don't know why. I can't explain a lot of things, even though I explain things, if that make any sense. Just don't ask me why I know it and why I know certain things, because I don't know. Just be glad I know. God's name. I can't remember if it came to me in a dream or I was in a discussion or I don't know how. And then I've said this before, nobody's disputed it. God is a title. It's not his name. The Son of God is named Yeshua. But God's name is not God. It's not Elohim. It's not none of those things, because those are titles. Like Billy is a police officer. Billy's name is not police. It's a title. Okay? So, I don't know why, but God's name is every breath you take, you're saying God's name. The first breath you take, you're saying God's name. The last breath you take, you are saying God's name. Don't ask me why. I know that. Research it. That's his name. Makes sense though. God, the breath of life. God, the Almighty, the infinite. It makes sense to me. So I roll with it. And this is why I think that my life was a series of unfortunate events, people would call them, but they were not actually unfortunate events. It was sharpening me like a sword to be able to fight this spiritual war now that we're in the end, and be put in front of people to tell them what I know. So I figured all that out, and that's great. So now let's get the information out there. Why does it matter if you call him Jesus or if you call him Yeshua? My God, our God, does not do anything, and I mean nothing, for no reason. He told us we was under a strong delusion in the Bible. The delusion was so strong, I was in the delusion, reading about the delusion, waiting for the delusion to start. Rewind it and listen to it. Yeah. So if we were in a delusion, he would not judge us because he had not revealed to us his real name at that time. I'm pretty sure it was people that knew it, people in higher places, Catholic churches definitely probably knew. When they knew that Saturday was the Sabbath, they knew all these things. But it was not revealed to the masses, because I grew up talking about Jesus. The funny thing is, when I read the Bible, I never put two and two together. Because I'm going to tell you this. Unless you got vitiligo. Hold on, let me stop. I left him over a second. Unless you got vitiligo, I have never seen a person whose feet wasn't the same color as their face. Because you know what the Bible say. His feet look like that, like bronze burned in a furnace. Hair of wool, hair white, texture of wool, eyes red like fire. Am I missing anything here? You look at Jesus. So, I mean, it is what it is. He said we was under a strong delusion. That looks pretty much like a delusion to me, And I never put it together because that's how strong the delusion was. I'm pretty sure the delusion has been broken now, people. So when we come down to it, we can't go to the Most High when it's time. We ain't going to be able to go to the Most High and talk to him anyway when Judgment Day come, because he ain't coming down here to talk. But that's another whole story. He come down here to judge. So we got to get it now. We got to accept that the delusion has been lifted, that God don't do nothing for no reason. And if Yeshua has been revealed as the true Messiah's name, and Saturday being the Sabbath, and God's name being, all these things must be relevant. So that's why I think it's important, because I truly believe that he don't do nothing for no reason. I mean, we ain't gonna go to Peter's house and ask for Paul now, are we? He's steadily talking about, hey, Paul, come outside. Peter looking at us like, who is you talking to? Anyway, so I didn't even have a plan or of action when I came on here. He was just telling me to come on here and say something. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Oh, let's talk about this. Right now in the world, what we see with God being the topic of discussion on every dinner table right now. The devil, he tries to turn it into like it's a contest, and it's not. This is why I don't pay attention to the devil. Because for what? I done already beat him. I know he talking. That's why I got my back to him. But it ain't no competition. That's why I got my back to him. So I went through this separation with my family. I grew up in a house with all women, my great grandmother, my mother, my mom. I never had a traditional family. I never knew what it was like to have a dad, have a father, any of that. My father was God. So I'm looking around and everybody else got a daddy. And I don't, So I always was kind of intrigued about being a dad. So when I got with my ex-wife, you know, it wasn't necessarily that I was so in love with her. It was the ideal of being in love with the family, a dynamic, what I was building, and being what I didn't have. That's what I was in love with, right? So, and that's another thing. The devil, he knows how to attack you. He attacks you at your weakest spot. Because a lot of stuff don't bother me. A whole bunch of stuff. I can look over all type of stuff. Only thing that bothers me if you put your hands on me or if you break my heart. Love. I love hard. I love to love. I love everybody. I just don't like nobody. Period. I love everybody. I just don't like nobody. It's different. You would rather me love you than to like you. That's kind of like loyalty over love. I'd rather somebody be loyal to me than love me. But that's a whole nother. So, I got a family. It had kind of happened. I wasn't looking for it. It just kind of happened. I thought I had a family, But when I got in it, I was going to keep it. I was going to honor it. I'm not even going to lie to you. I wasn't necessarily thinking about, the laws, God's laws on marriage at that time. I was more so just happy to have a family, and I wanted to be what I didn't have. I didn't want my sons to not have a father. He did. So I thought I was more leaning toward that was my reason for taking it seriously and staying faithful with my family and doing and providing for them. I loved it. I loved being a dad and a family, but this break that I've had, I've done my job. So, but this break that I have, I'm enjoying this too. So, I'm getting too old now. But anyway, that's another story. So, the separation on this planet that's going on is God is separating His people from the devil's people. And I'm telling you, when you are in close kinship or relationship or something ship with somebody that you love, and you find out that y'all are going down two separate roads, you going with the Lord and they going wherever they go, that is painful. But the Lord says, if you're not willing to let go of your wife and your family for the kingdom of heaven, then you're not worthy of the kingdom of heaven. I'm glad that I found out that I'm worthy. I let it go. I didn't want to. It hurt. It hurt. But I love God. God is my father. He's my boss. He's the one that I got to answer to. So even though it hurt, God said this woman in this same situation, and for you, I had to listen to him. And if I made the choice to say okay and accept that and break away, because I actually the one I divorced. I'm the one that filed, so I had to do it. Didn't want to do it. But God knew that my situation wasn't going to change, and that person I was with wasn't going to change, so I had to do it, and it hurt. But I value God's kingdom and God more than I value anything on this earth, and they are down here on this earth. Not saying I don't love God, but I love God more. So with that being said, there's a great separation going on the planet. You have to put your eyes on God. Put Him first. Truly put Him first. It's going to be people that you ain't going to want to break away from. It could be your mama. The devil gave me all of it. I had the mama, the wife, everything. He gave me all. I had to break away from all of that. So you just better know what's more important. You can be sad for them, but if you're not evenly yoked at the time the Most High come back and during this separation, get on the side, pick a side, like Nicki Minaj say, pick a side, my nigga, pick a side. And that's that. Because you worshiping a human being over God, you tripping. God made that person you worshiping, because that's what you're doing if you put anybody over God, anything over God. So be worthy. You to let everything go except God. So I think that's what's happening right now on the planet. It's a separation, awakening. We're not gonna have any excuses when Judgment Day comes. He's gonna know that we all know, and that's okay, because all you gotta do is the right thing. You know, act accordingly, follow the laws and commands, honor what He say, and just try to be still and wait on the Lord. That's really all we can do. Make good choices. And love yourself, because He love you. Real talk. I ain't gonna keep you, man. I just had a flashback tonight. I was sitting there in the bed. I don't stay at that house no more. Y'all know it got tore down. I put it in the video. And it got tore down while I was still living in it. See, they done everything to me. Everything. But when I got God with me, it's kind of like they ain't doing nothing, because He's sustaining me. In every situation that they try to put me in, God pulled me out of. So give up. I don't know why people would want to join a losing team anyway. Just common sense. Follow God. How you gonna follow something that God made? The devil. What is he? Why he ain't no better than us. Actually, probably beneath us. That's why he got mad. He was the most beautiful angel. But we the most beautiful creation that God has made, because we made in His image. He didn't say Satan was made in His image. He said we was made in His image. He might be the most beautiful angel, but he ain't the most beautiful creation. That's us, people. So honor Him like we supposed to. All right, I'm out of here.